Wisdom Podcast.
Welcome to the Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Storm, and today we're diving deep with Waway Saway. He is a local Datu, meaning leader in the native tribes in the Philippines. He's also the lead singer of Talaandig Republic, an amazing musician, an advocate for the environment, and a wisdom keeper of the Filipinos. Welcome today, Waway Saway.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, I love starting every podcast with a simple question, and that is, what is the best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
I think the best wisdom that I received from the universe is the wisdom of understanding about beauty. If you have that wisdom about seeing everything is beautiful, then you have the responsibility to protect that beauty. Like when I was a kid, we were walking with my mother, we were walking towards the forest because I grew up in the forest. And she was telling me that the moon is bright and beautiful. So I had that consciousness about beauty, that everything I see in this world is beautiful. So that's the greatest wisdom that I've ever received from the universe.
Wow, I resonate so much because part of my spiritual journey has really been about gratitude. And I've came up upon this quote where it says that what you focus on grows. So if you're focusing on the things that are working out, if you're focusing on the small wins you have, you're putting more energy into positive things. You're putting more energy into things that are working, and that will reflect in the things coming back to you.
Yeah.
So that's really beautiful. And yeah, even the Native Americans, they practice this. They call it the beauty way, seeing the beauty in the small things, the supposedly bad things, and making the most of it through our response and how we look forward in life. So I'm curious about nowadays with the rainforests being destroyed and the indigenous people having to fight for their land. What are the main issues that you feel in your heart that the indigenous people are facing?
Of course, first of all, the displacements. Because the indigenous people in the Philippines, they have these vast lands. They have these ancestral domains, ancestral territory, but of course they don't have this capital, then that they can start making plantations or they can establish their own farm that will sustain their lives. And then because they don't have that capital, there are many people outside that take that opportunity that they're going to buy the lands of indigenous people. So slowly, the indigenous people are losing their lands to the migrants, to the capitalists. And it's really a sad story, and it's happening now.
So, man, this one hits home to me personally because I am from Manila, and I did move to Siargao 2 years ago. And currently I'm renting from a local. And this has been something pressing for me too, because, you know, I do believe that the space I'm creating was providing value, but also I ask myself, how do I do it in a way that honors the people there? How do I do it in a way that honors the locals? And yeah, how would you go about that?
If ever I'm from outside, then I will just maybe rent the land, but I will never buy the land, because once you buy the land, then there will be no more land for the next generation. But if you only use the land as the people there and write some agreement that you're just using the land but you're not buying the land, then it's good because you do not get the land from indigenous people. You do not get the land from the next generation.
Nice. Well, thanks past me for renting the land instead of purchasing.
Rent it.
So how about the people that already purchased land? and they've already taken it from indigenous people.
According to the law in the Republic Act 1871, you cannot buy the land from the indigenous people, and you'll go to prison if you do that.
So when you're referring to these tribal lands, you're referring to like places in Bukidnon? That's
Not
like
only in Bukidnon, the whole Philippines.
whole Philippines. So I do know that you're an advocate for the environment. I'd love to hear your take on the most pressing issues right now that the Philippine people are facing.
You know, I am a songwriter, and I wrote songs about the environment. I've been listening to the songs of the people that ahead of me writing environmental songs. But then I realized that every time I did a concert and people came to me and had a picture with me, and then what happened is the young people also write songs for the environment. And then I realized that according to the data, in 1900s, the Philippine primary forest cover was 70%, down to 34% in 1970 and 7% in year 2000, and now we only have 1.5%. That's the Philippine primary forest cover. Then I was shocked, like there are so many people who sing about environment. There are, see, the Gama Penumbra shows us really about environment. Joe Ayala wrote songs about environment. Bayan Barrios, Asin. And how come that we only have 1.5% left? So I told myself, I don't want to end up singing my beautiful song in a last standing tree and beside the dry river. That's why when this Hinilaban Foundation invited me for a reforestation, and I really go with that group because I know that I could reach out more indigenous people, and then I can physically help in the preservation of the forest, because it's very critical, because Bukidnon is where the four major mountains are located: the Karatungan, the Pantaron, and the Salog Range. And then it's where the big rivers of Mindanao are coming from. So if we cannot protect these mountains through tree growing, then we can have scarcity of water resources. And we will be facing a really big problem in the future. That's why what I'm doing is I'm really into reforestation, and this coming rainy days, and I'm inviting again volunteers who will help us grow trees. And we're inviting friends also to protect the creeks by not throwing garbage in the creeks. I've been collecting garbage somewhere here. There are creeks that are, the diapers are being dumped in the creek, and it's so sad. Like we collected like 4 garbage truck of diapers. So it's so sad. We really want to, find a way to convince people, to educate people how to take care of the garbage.
Yes, that's really powerful work that you're doing. And I heard this quote, how to change like policies, we have to change the way people think, and to change the way people think, we have to change the culture. And I think that's where the power of your music comes in, because you're sharing these things about protecting the environment, about standing up together as a community and coming together in the name of protecting the planet, the forest. I think that's really powerful stuff
Yeah.
that we're working on and we're doing together. I'm curious now, what's your creative process when it comes to making music?
My process is very simple. I just listen to the people talking or observe through observations. No? Like one of my songs, it sounds like Japanese, but it is a Visayan language. Itza, throw up. Tamuka, you catch up. Yataki, you step on your fear. Itza, tamuka, yataki, tumbi. It says, throw, catch, and step your fear to protect the environment. So I just heard it from my brother-in-law talking. Itza, tamuka, yataki, tumbi. I tried to put melody on it and develop into a song. Now I have the new one. It's Kusing Bausata, Singkwin Galo. It's also a joke that if somebody asks you, do you know how to speak Chinese? Then you'll say, oh, Kusing Bausata, Singkwin Galo. But when you say it in the reverse, Cinco Sabao, Cinquenta Logao. So it's 5 pesos for the soup and for the forage, 50 pesos. So I just try to listen to the joke and then try to make it into a song. But some serious things like I have a new song also, this Buhayin ng Paraiso. It's a song about agriculture. It's a song about asking people to plant so that you can, revive the paradise. Because long time ago we have the paradise. Like the indigenous people are living in a paradise. Like, you just go to the forest and collect some fruits, wild nuts, and then if you need meat, then you just hunt some wild boar or deer or wild chicken. But now we don't no longer have this paradise. I mean, paradise is lost. We need to, I think, plant and plant and plant, not only for ourselves, but we should plant trees that will feed the butterflies, the bees, of course, the wild animals, so that we can see this paradise again.
Wow. This reminds me of a saying from the Native Americans, and they say whenever you do something, you think of the next 7 generations that are going to be coming here. To think and live unselfishly. This planet, this forest that we have is something that we don't own or dominate, but something that we're stewards of and something that we're here to take care of so that our children and their children and their children and their children.
Yeah, because life is, for me, is to live until you die. But many people forget like how much kilo of rice you need until you die, how much clothes you need until you die. Like, given you have 100 years of living in this world, but people forget that. Like, they don't know how to find happiness. You cannot find happiness by going to the river and swim in the river and then watch butterflies standing on the tae ng kalabaw. No? That's happiness. But people don't know how to find happiness. And they forget how much kilo of rice they need until they die. That's why they feel so insecure. But if people will only know that we cannot consume 2 million pieces of worth of rice until we die, then life is simple, life is easy, and life is happy.
I'm curious, was there a moment that clicked for you that when you started to care about the environment, or was it always just something embedded in your culture, in the way that you were raised?
Actually, I care for environment because I miss those days that when I was crossing the river, I just collect that and drink from that river. It was so clean when I was like 7 years old. And in the nighttime, when I see the mountain, and there was a moon, full moon, then the mountain is so very beautiful. I miss that. I wanted to, my feelings like, how could I share this to the next generation? That feeling, that emotion, that happiness. But of course, now it's different. So one time when I was in Bohol, I was resting like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then there was a flashback. My mind was like here. watching this full moons, this beautiful environment, and then the tears just came out from my eyes. Then one time also when I went home here, and I was standing on a hill up in the mountain, then I was just standing with my cane like that, and then just the tears came out from my eyes. Because I miss those days that when I saw those big trees and then thick forest, and then you can hear wild pigs nearby. But those are gone. Then it's so sayang that I couldn't show it to my children. So that's why that makes me feel in love more about the environment, because I know it's important, and I know how much oxygen the trees are giving to human.
Wow, I can relate so much because, all my life I've drank water from a bottle. I've drank water from 5-gallon plastic containers, and it was so foreign to me to even drink from a river. Until I experienced one time, I went to a really nice mountain range in California, and called Mount Shasta, and they had like an edge waters like that comes straight from the mountain, and it's so pure, so clean when you drink.
Wow.
And it was so cold too, because it was like comes from ice, so it's like, wow, drinking ice water. And I was like, I can't believe something like that existed. And so it's so interesting to me now, like, oh my gosh, like even our water is commercialized now.
Yeah.
Even our water has been so and so capitalized. So I do feel you on this issue. And yeah, I haven't drank from a Philippine stream yet. So that's definitely something I want to try here in the Philippines, and experience like water that comes from my own lands, my motherland. So that's a beautiful story, very powerful story. And I hope we can have that too one day.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I'm curious about any events or organizations that you want to share light on. Like if I'm a person that just wants to know more about tree planting or wants to know more about helping the environment.
Yeah, I'm with this Hinilaban Foundation. Hinilaban Foundation is one of the key player in Mindanao reforestation. So people can, even the people from other country or from Manila, from the cities, they can participate in Mindanao reforestation. By you have these globe rewards. You can donate your rewards to the Hinilaban Foundation, and people can always reach out, connect with the Hinilaban Foundation, and maybe we can find ways. If you want to plant trees, then we can plant trees for you. Yeah, the Hinilaban Foundation can do that for you.
All right. Now you guys know where to head out, what to check out if you're in the Philippines. Join us in planting some trees and planting some seeds of consciousness. Yeah. Would you like to share anything else? Perhaps any new music dropping or?
Now, my new music is coming out. That's the Cinco Sabaw, Cinquintalogaw. And the Buhay ng Paraiso, and there's another one, the She Loves Me Not. And just wait for it. It'll be coming the next month. And yeah, we have this exciting project with the foundation by the Ben and Ben. We are teaching, we had this songwriting workshop with the indigenous people's songwriters. Then we'll see what will happen in the future. Maybe there will be songwriters from indigenous people in Bukidnon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Waway Saway, for inviting me to your beautiful home. Like, it's so beautiful that we also get to have this in nature, because this is my first podcast where you're hearing actual chickens and there was cicadas earlier. So it's perfect because you're here representing the environment. You're here representing coming back to nature and planting trees. And so it's also beautiful to have that in the podcast today. That nature is with us in this podcast. So Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Wisdom Podcast. Once again, I am Storm, your host, and thank you so much, Waway Saway, for joining. Please check out his music, Talaandig Republic, for amazing traditional Filipino vibes and music that just empowers the people and empowers the environment. Go ahead and plant some trees and share this if you feel called. Maraming salamat.
Yeah.